I have this most hilarious Justin Timberlake story. So I had this advanced copy of Love, Sex, and Magic. So I was like, oh, watch this. I'm going to play this song that no one knows. Switch into the next song or whatever. And the owner leans over. He's like, Justin wants to talk to you for a second. And I was like, hold on while I shit my pants. He leans over and he goes, can you do me a favor? He's like, never play that song ever again. Goes back to like, he just like leaned out from the table and leans back, just sweat, just like, what have I done? Like, what have I done?
Well, all right. Battle raps cause I've shaken grown men to the point that they can't even face their own friends. That's why they rhyme about jewels, not life, cause the ice on which they skating is so thin.
Let's get it, baby. Welcome back to the Party with Strategy podcast. Special episode filming on a Saturday.
Ooh.
Had to catch this man while he was in town.
Thank you.
Big fish. Glad we got him. Mr. New York is in the building. The
Sure.
New York Ninja.
There he is.
The Long Island Lover. Senior split personalities.
That is true.
2 T's.
2 T's.
Scott with 2 T's.
I was like, what do you mean 2 T's?
Yeah. Chachi's in the building, baby. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for
Appreciate it.
coming through, man.
My
Fresh off the airplane.
Right from O'Hare.
Dunkin'
Let's
in
go.
hand.
I needed the juice.
How you feeling? What's your travel regimen? Because, I mean, we were just talking before this. I did a little research. I saw your video bio that you put out. It said 8 years ago, and it looks like you've gotten younger since then, to be honest. So,
I don't know. I don't know why I'm starting to Benjamin Button. I don't know, but like I'm like such a habitual person. Like my shit is calculated, and like I've got like the skincare routine. Like I'm learning about, serums and this shit. I don't know. And I have to wear SPF. You should be wearing it right now, even though we're in,
she did slap a little something on my face earlier. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was SPF.
It's possible. Yeah. I don't know. That video bio is old and probably embarrassing. We should like watch that live.
It was good. No, it was shot well. It definitely held up.
Nice.
You were talking about your transition from being a DJ to producing.
That was that era of when I was like, no, I'm going to try to be like an EDM DJ. And it like, it didn't work out, but I think it just didn't work out because I didn't like really hold on for long enough. Like, I feel like if I would have leaned into that and been like all in, kind of sacrificed, took a backseat to some of my gigs and would have really committed to it, I would have been successful. But like, it's... when you're just a working DJ, you don't have a 9 to 5, like you didn't have other revenue streams, what have you, it's hard to just be like not working and like plugging away in your dark studio, like making music.
Yeah. Also, I got to imagine you need to have a real love for it rather than like
you have to be infatuated with it. Like it's not like I have to go to the studio. Like you're just like in love with it. It's like those videos you see of like Skrillex and like Fred again, like, in a taxi on a way to a gig, but like still working on like another song, and you're like, that love and like that commitment, that's just, it's in there. It's not like I have to do this or I want to do this. It's just, it's what I do.
Yeah. And at that time, you said, which I think every DJ comes to this point at some point where you're like, I realize I hit a ceiling as a DJ. I want to make music. That's the way to get further in my career. Mm-hmm. Was this prior to starting 4 a.m.?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I was actually signed to a different agency at that time. I wasn't even an artist on 4 a.m. at that time. I was signed to another agency called Stadium Red, which no longer exists. But I think it was a combo platter, which most of life is, of like that manager kind of being in my ear about like, how he thought I should grow or where he thought I should go. At that time, I also thought that I had probably accomplished almost all I thought I could as an open format DJ. Like, I'm trying to remember when that video was shot, but I had like toured internationally. I had been resident at most major markets in the United States. Like, I had done it. So I was like, where do I go? Like, where do I go from here?
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. And you've definitely been DJing for a long time. I know that because I saw you DJ probably last month or so, John Boy.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never heard you DJ before, just seen you on the internet, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Instagram, Twitch when that was happening, but that wasn't really DJing. You were doing like dad jokes and like a fun hangout more than like, hey, watch my DJ abilities. You know what I mean?
That was my formula for Twitch.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like watching somebody DJ is fine, you know, and like I think it kind of like gets boring and like, how long can you really watch? But if there's like kind of a conversation or like I'm like such a dork, you know, like I'm the throwback version, I think, of like where DJs used to come from. Like DJs historically were nerds because it took so long to become not horrific. And it was like, you know, record digging and all. We were just nerds. We were such introverts. The opposite of like what people think of DJs now.
And sort of what they become, I would say.
We were never superstars, or DJ booths weren't even in the center of the room or on a stage. They were like up in the rafters or like in the goofy dark corner of the club. It was never that. So I think that's really who I am, and it's who I've always been. And it's actually even hard for me to like turn that shit on sometimes. Like that's actually where like drinking came into play, when I had to like be that guy on stage. Like I'm not naturally that person. So it was a thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. No, you were great. You inspired me for sure.
Thank you. And it's funny that you never saw me DJ. Well, I also always talk about that with other DJs. Like I never see anybody DJ.
Right.
And the gift and the curse. It usually means that you're working. So that's great. But then I would love to be able to see other DJs and get inspired like that, but usually don't have the opportunity.
Yeah. It was fantastic.
Thank
I was
you.
like, you know, when you see someone DJ, you can immediately tell how long they've been doing it.
How long do you think I've been DJing?
After watching your set, I think you've been DJing for at least 20 years.
It's 27 this year or something.
Almost
like that.
30.
Yeah, since I was 14.
Yeah. That's insane.
It's just getting weirder to be that guy, and then like, you know, still being actively DJing, and like some of the people that are in the audience being like half your age, and you're like, what's happening right now? Like, should I still be here? You know, like those kind of questions start to come up.
I'm starting to live that a little bit. I'm starting to feel that.
It happens.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
It's not great.
It kind of doesn't have to be good, bad, great. It doesn't have to, it depends on how you look at it. I also think that it's strangely becoming easier now because of where music is right now, and this like nostalgic 2010s resurgence of like originals and like, you know, this like fun sing-along thing. We have a lot of venues in New York that are really like adopting this because they want nightlife to be fun again.
Mm-hmm.
Nightlife got like real serious and like too cool and like that garbage, and like they're going so far the other side of the spectrum where it's like Dancing Queen and like relative to John Boy, but just not without the disco foundation.
Yeah.
And it's a blast because it's like, I remember when the song came out the first time, and then when it sucked, and then now it's back like as a banger, and you're like, okay, like it's confusing.
Yeah. Was there a point where that was corny for you to play that?
Yeah. Pretty much almost like instantly after it came out. It was like the hottest shit, and then fucking, you know.
And you have to like erase that memory from your head. You have to erase that feeling.
Really hard.
Yeah.
I'm like struggling where like we're signing younger DJs to 4 a.m. and similar, they're half my age. And I'm like very parental. I'm a carbon copy of my father, and my dad is like, if he met you, he would talk to you as if you were his son. He talks to everyone as if they're his kid. He's just doling out knowledge and advice, and you know, we just met, you know, or like it's our waiter, and I'm like, what are you doing, Dad? But I basically adopted those things, and I'm like very parental, and like I look after our artists. It's just like I don't know. It's who I am.
It sounds like a great label to be a part of. You hear about all these other management or agencies, and they're like, they don't give a fuck about me.
We care. I mean, we can definitely get into like, we have like mantras of like the agency, and like I think who I am as a human is very relevant and like obvious in how we take care of our artists, when we think about our artists. Like we'll get into it in a little bit, but like I always like blow people's minds. And I was just speaking at this conference in Atlanta where I was like, oh, we've been like trying to figure out health insurance for our DJs, retirement funds for our DJs. Like we've been, our CFO at one point, specifically in the pandemic, was giving free financial like seminars, and people were like, whoa, like you are thinking of DJs as human beings, pretty much, instead of just like these like workhorses, or like go out, like make money, play songs, come back, and I make my check, and then like that's the end of the transaction.
Yeah.
But full circle. So we're signing some younger DJs. And I had a couple of them at my apartment the other night, and I was like, okay, this song, and they were like, good. And it would be like this like same era, like a different Lil Wayne song or something like that, and they were like, no. And I was like, but what? Like who? And they were like, you know, I don't know. We don't make the rules, but this is like, this song is great and this song is shit. And I was like, so I'm like relearning what's hot. I remember I played John Boy actually pretty recently, and I played Sweet Escape by Gwen Stefani.
Mm-hmm.
Like the crowd erupts, and I'm just like so confused. Like this song like hits, and hands up, singing the words.
That is a banger. That's the one with Akon, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you.
So like relearning and like unlearning what's cool and what was not cool. It's like a weird.
It's nice.
Time.
It's nice to be able to do that in your apartment with some young folks there. Mm-hmm. I'm just doing it in front of a live crowd in the club.
Challenging.
And sort of gauging from there.
Right.
Testing records out, seeing what happens. Because you're right. You do play one Lil Wayne song and they go nuts for it. 6 foot, 7 foot's big again.
Huge.
And then, you know, one of my favorites was Got Money or Get Money. Or is that what it is?
Yeah, it's Got Money.
Got Money, yeah.
Flat. Nothing.
Flat. But that one takes me back to such a good time. I think about listening to that in like my boy's first Honda Accord that he ever got in high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just doesn't go.
I was DJing like one of the hottest clubs in New York when that came out, and it was just the joint. And like for it to fall so flat, and me being like just spitting bars,
right.
It like hurts. It's like but like this corny shit, like fucking Timber will go off, and you're like, I guess. All right.
Timber. That's been one that I've been a little hesitant on.
I hate it. I hate it so much. It's strange. I have like such a strange hate for it, because I used to do this thing where we used to have cousins weekend at Foxwoods in Connecticut, because Shrine is up there. So I would have like 20 of my cousins. We'd all get rooms and like get blasted, and like I would get tables and stuff. And my sister, who's a little bit older than me, would be like, play Timber. And I'd be like, no, that song is horrific.
Yeah.
And then now I have to play it because it just fucking goes off.
It's crazy. Yeah, that era, that 2010 era.
Pop.
Sean Kingston, bro.
Huge.
Shouty, fire burning on the dance floor. Like,
literally.
The only connection I have to that song is that I played it at bar mitzvahs when I first started DJing, and I worked for a bar mitzvah company. And to play it in the club, like,
goes off.
It goes insane, but there's just inside of me, like, I have to get over this hump.
Yeah, I'm in this space of like trying to relearn what's hot and what's not. And I'm like going back in old crates and like reworking stuff. But like connecting with younger DJs has been really helpful and like eye-opening, but then also fucking super confusing at the same time. Like, why don't these are like the same song, like the same year, banger, smash, pass.
Yeah.
Like,
Actually, we're talking about this, so I want to get into it. Normally I do this later on in the pod when we've talked about everything we could possibly talk about and things are falling a little flat, but I feel like this is a nice place to insert it.
Go on.
You've been DJing for 27 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to name a couple songs that were on the top 100 list of the year.
Okay.
And I want to know, like, obviously you were DJing through all this, so I want to know, like, when you were playing that song, what club were you at, or maybe you have a core memory tied to it in another city or something.
Sure.
Like, what version of yourself were you? Were you wearing, the Fat Farm shoes, or like, you know what I mean? Who were you at this time as well?
I have such a fun connection to like it was like pre-Pinterest. So like either I didn't have any real friends in my life that were like, you look ridiculous. Like I mean, there was
you're from New York. I feel like you got those boys, like core New York, like make fun of you for dressing goofy kind of
like
guys.
When I first started DJing in the city, one of my biggest mentors, Eugene Rem, owns Catch, founder of Rumble, this incredible business person. We met. He like loved me as a DJ, but he was like, what's whatever this is. I was still living home with my parents. It was pretty terrible, but like, let's get into it.
Hell yeah. All right. 18 years ago, 2005.
Oof.
Kanye West Gold Digger comes out.
Joint.
Mario Let Me Love You.
Oof.
Sierra Missy Elliott 1-2 Step.
Okay.
And 50 Cent How We Do.
Wow. 05 How We Do. This is like I'm just breaking. Like just entering New York City, like still lived home. I was like probably still coming out of my college phase, sort of working. I've really only had one real job in my whole life, and that's been DJing.
Yeah.
Which is, what do you mean?
Congratulations.
I went to school for engineering, so I had 2 degrees in audio engineering. I was working at a recording studio on Madison Avenue called Audio Mixers. Yeah, Audio Mixers. We were doing post-production, so I was recording, editing, like, you ever hear those like cheesy commercials on the radio, like Sleepy's and Siemens and Sort of Perfect Sleeper, and like that shit, whatever. So I'm cutting that, and
you're doing like the jingle, or you're recording
I was recording the voiceovers.
The voiceover, yeah,
for radio and TV. Those songs, I was like, I think I had like probably just started working in Atlantic City. It was so big back then when songs were fucking huge. Like, it just doesn't ring off the same like that. Like when 50 would drop something, like, or Sierra and Missy, like Missy was so big back then. They were fucking joints. So like Atlantic City was definitely popping. I was probably I think I was doing Home and Guest House in New York, which are unfortunately closed. Damn, good times.
Now, let me ask you this. When Kanye puts out Gold Digger, did you immediately think, I'm going to mix this with the original sample?
Probably, yeah. And I actually still play an edit of mine that I had made that starts with Ray Charles.
Yeah.
And then goes into that one, yeah. Good times. Fucking good times.
How about Let Me Love You? Were you playing that in the club? Maybe the last 30 minutes?
Yeah, for sure. It was a little... Was Gold Digger 05?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, I'm trying to think of some math, and I don't want to misspeak, but I think I just listened to a podcast that Eugene was on, and he was talking about 10 June, which was like the hottest club in New York City, and it was grand opening night, and their birthday is the June 10th, the 2 owners. So that's why they called it 10 June. And if I remember correctly, Gold Digger had just came out, and Kanye's birthday is like a couple days before that. And basically, Kanye came to the club for their grand opening. I was DJing, and Kanye performed for free. Like, that's my actual core memory of Gold Digger.
That's insane.
Just listened to that podcast, so I'm almost 100% certain that was like the year.
How was that? Were you just fucking out of your mind or what?
I was like, we were talking about this, but like, I didn't know what imposter syndrome was until relatively recently. And I had basically figured out that I have had it my whole fucking life, because I was in like the coolest club in New York City. I like never even went to New York City. My parents didn't want me to go to New York City. Like, they were scared. I grew up in Long Island. I grew up in a square mile town. My high school graduating class had 100 kids. I mean, like, I don't even know why, but there was like 3.5 black kids in my school and like 2 or 3 of them were like mulatto. Like, none of them were like actually like full black. I never met a Jewish person until I moved to New York City. Like, I lived in this crazy little bubble. And then I go into New York and it's like the melting pot of the whole fucking world. And then I'm working in these clubs, and then now suddenly I'm the DJ, and suddenly I'm cutting lines, and I'm like the guy, and then there's like celebrities involved, and I'm like, what's happening? Yeah, like I'm not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm just not. I'm not supposed to be cool. I'm definitely not cool, like, at all, but like, I'm being put in these cool situations. And I remember DJing, like, I DJ'd Britney Spears' birthday back then, and then I was on ET. It goes on. Do you remember like Entertainment Tonight?
Mm-hmm.
I think Mario Lopez was like the host back then or some shit. And I was like on television for doing this. And like, I have these core memories of like that grand opening of 10 June, Britney Spears' birthday. I DJ'd the Friends and Family opening of One Oak. And it's so long ago that I was on my sidekick, just looking down, probably on like AIM, because that was the thing on sidekicks, in like, back then was like the goofy button up like sweater vest thing, but like the short sleeve button. It was rough. Those pictures are out there, and we'll find them.
I did, doing some research, I found some old pictures of you.
I was trying to log into my MySpace because people, did you see that thing on either Instagram or TikTok where they're like, tap in when you were like 21?
Yeah.
I don't even have pictures on my Facebook of me when I was 21. I had to like go somewhere else. I don't even fucking know. But like, I'm doing the Friends and Family for One Oak. One Oak hasn't opened yet. And I'm on my sidekick in the DJ booth, just like looking down, and I hear the owner, Richie Akiva, and someone else chatting. And I'm like, I know that voice. It's fucking Jay-Z. Because Jay was an investor either in Oak or in Butter, the venue before that. And I'm just like, I keep having these moments of like, what the fuck? What am I doing here? Like, no one's going to believe me. This fucking really happened, but I don't know what to tell you.
Here we are. That's insane, bro. So you're DJing, Jay-Z's in the club. Do you immediately, are you like, I got to play some Jay-Z records?
I've had some really interesting celebrity interactions over the years, and I basically very quickly learned that everyone operates extremely differently. I have this most hilarious Justin Timberlake story. So Justin Timberlake's at a table at 10 June with, I think, a bunch of his dancers. And he was probably on tour or performing in New York or whatever. So he was with one of the owners, and the owner was like, no JT, no NSYNC, like no nothing. He's on the low, just kind of chilling with his table. I'm like, perfect, you got it. So I'm part of all the guys that run the DJ pools are like homies, like Kevin Scott and War and Peace, and Direct Music Service was like probably just came out or some shit at that time. So I had this advanced copy of Love, Sex, and Magic, but it was JT on it. It like hadn't become Sierra's song yet or some shit. It was like, it turned out it was a demo. So I was like, oh, watch this. I'm going to play this song that no one knows. That's because it's not out yet. Yeah. And I was like, and JT's going to be like, cool. So I play the song, switch into the next song or whatever. And the owner leans over. He's like, Justin wants to talk to you for a second. And I was like, hold on while I shit my pants. He leans over and he goes, can you do me a favor? He's like, never play that song ever again. Doesn't give me a chance to respond. Goes back to like, he just like leaned out from the table and leans back. just sweat, just like, what have I done? Like, what have I done? It turned out it was the demo that he had cut, and I think he was like shopping it to like Beyonce and like whatever, and then it ended up with him and Sierra and Lovesick and Magic. So everybody's different. Everybody. So, and then from that day on, like I had never like assumed like a celebrity wanted to hear their music. Didn't. Sometimes, most of the time, I just fucking act like they're not there.
Yeah. I've only heard one thing about 50 Cent, that he loves his own music. Like, only wants to hear 50 Cent songs when he's in the room.
If I was a betting man, I would say that's very, very true, because 50 is a fucking businessman. I mean, and he's like, what? I'm not going to promo my own shit like while I'm here. Like, I love watching all these videos and entrepreneurial shit about 50 as a businessman, not an artist. What he took his clout and did, and then invested and da. So like, yeah, it's promo. Let's fucking go.
Yeah. I would love to be in that room and just watch him vibing out to his own songs.
I bet he fucking loves his music.
It's amazing.
I wonder if like a celebrity like just like hated their shit, or like they were forced to make some crappy music and then like the DJ's playing it and they're just like, it's a fucking stupid song.
They have to lean over and tell you to never play it again.
That shit was so fucking funny, man. God, I just sweat right through my clothes.
Yeah, that would shut me down. The next couple, at least 20, 30 minutes, I'd be scrambling. I'd be in my head, nervous, fumbling mixes.
Probably. Yeah, probably. I have a few of those, but it's just like, what a error. We should, I feel like we should Tarantino the interview now. We like hit the end. Let's go back to the beginning, and then we'll do this again at the end.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to the game.
Come back to the game.
All right. I'm down. Tell me about New York. You're from Long Island.
Sure. Go ahead.
Are you a big fan of comedy?
Oh, yeah. Huge.
I love comedy.
I
Big
love
fan of New York comedy. I feel like you guys probably know, like, as the DJs out there, I feel like you guys know some of the comedians, right?
Yeah. I randomly fell in love with stand-up comedy way before I was like even in the city, or before I knew what the Comedy Cellar was. Like, I remember when like I used to listen to like Dane Cook CDs in my car and like that kind of shit. And then when I moved to New York City, I just would start going to the Comedy Cellar, like, cause I didn't have a real job and like, or like, I worked weird hours or whatever. And then, when I started to go to the Comedy Cellar, there's a bar above the Comedy Cellar where all of the comedians, it's basically their green room. And I also didn't know that at the time. And I would just go up there for a drink before going downstairs and then be like, oh, it's fucking. And then I would always talk to the bartender. And I remember I have this fucking memory. I go to the cellar. You always go on the whack nights, which in New York is the opposite. So in New York, the cool shit happens from Sunday to Wednesday. The Thursday to Saturday is the normal people. That's when, your 9-to-5ers and like your bridge and tunnel people come out. The cool shit is always on the weeknights when like your average person has to like go to work the next day or some shit. So you go to the Comedy Cellar Sunday night, Monday night, you go to the late show. And celebrities or comedians who are working on material will just show up. So I go to the cellar. It's probably like a Monday or something like that. I go to the bartender and you can see the screens and you can see who's on. And I'm like, oh, whatever. I think at that time I was like Davidov or whatever his name is. I fucking love him. Huge fan. And she's like, you fucked up. And I was like, what do you mean I fucked up? She's like, last night. She's like, late show. She's like, Chappelle, Kevin Hart, Marlon Wayans, Questlove, and like somebody else. She's like, they all got up on stage and just made fun of each other.
Oh my God, that's fucking incredible. Like, that would be so amazing to be there for.
What? Like once in a fucking lifetime, but like that's a tip or a trick for anybody going to New York. Like I've seen like Aziz Ansari like a bunch of times. He was working on one of his specials, just coming up, and he's like, look, some of this might suck, so like Sorry. I'm like literally working out material right now. And they are. They're just
Yeah.
working out their shit.
That's awesome. As an actual fan of comedy, I would love to watch that. I'd
Yeah.
love to watch them try new shit.
It's like, you got to watch them fail. It's fucking, I think there's got to be there's a lot of similarities between DJing and stand-up comedy. And I don't know if that's why I was like just kind of gravitated to it, but it is such an incredible art. I'm like a huge fan. I literally just strangely was connected to Andrew Schultz, and I have this memory. I saw Schultz at the Comedy Cellar, and one of his closing jokes stuck with me for years, and I didn't know his name, but I told this joke to so many people because it was basically like, he was like, I don't understand this like whole like immigrants like coming over to like steal jobs. He's like, what are they doing? Like, put down the forks and knives. Like, like, and it was, I mean, I'm probably butchering it and what have you, but it stuck with me for forever. And then finally I learned who he was. And then I just was like connected to his team I have like random connections to like Gary Vee and like their team, and Schultz was performing at Gary Vee Con in Indianapolis, and then Schultz was on my flight. It was like this weird fucking connection. But Schultz, like, he's another great example of just like New York comics. I mean, Sam Morril, a lot of the guys that Rogan actually has. Why am I going blank on the Mark guy? His name
Mark
is
Norman.
Seen him live a million times, like huge fucking fan. Like Shane Gillis is like just the best. Shane's not from New York, but like
Philly, right? I think.
I'm actually really not sure.
I think it's Philly.
Love stand-up comedy. Love it. Pete Davidson's recent one is really, really funny.
Yeah. I'm a comedy podcast fiend.
Nice.
Yeah. I love Tim Dillon. I love Sam Morril, Mark Norman,
They're
all those
so
guys.
fucking
Schultz.
funny, and like just being able to see them, especially in New York, the rooms are so small. It's like 50 fucking people. You're like, it's right here. It's me and you, and just fucking seeing them riff and make fun of people on the fly, and you're like, it's amazing. It's amazing.
So
It's the
good.
best.
It's so good. I love it.
Yeah.
I love
For
it.
sure.
I got to get to New York. I want to go Sunday through Wednesday and just go to the Cellar every
You have
night.
to. Just go. Just fucking book it in advance because it fucking sells out. But New York, and they always talk about New York's comedy scene being like the fucking best. Kill Tony. I fucking see you.
Yeah. Big Kill Tony fan. Although I will say he just dropped his tickets 2 days ago, and I tried to get tickets. Was on the website at noon,
Instant.
waited in their little like weird digital line thing that they have for 2 fucking hours.
Gone.
Couldn't get tickets. First time that's happened to me. And he's running ads in the middle of the show now, which he never did. He always put the ads in the beginning. And it's all kind of just turning me away a little bit. It's making me less of a fan.
You think it's the money or the advertisers?
He's getting money, which I respect. Get your money. But like,
are these tickets for actual Tony Hinchcliffe?
For Kill Tony.
Oh, for Kill Tony in
For
general.
Kill Tony,
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I would love to. I've been meaning to go to Austin and see that, and like go to Rogan's Club and like.
Yeah, Kill Tony live is fucking incredible.
I would love to see that.
One of the best parts about it is the band. His band is such a good band, and they jam for like 30 minutes before
sick.
the show.
I didn't know that.
It's fucking amazing.
Oh, cool. That's such a added bonus.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great.
Cool. Let's go.
It's great.
Let me know when you want to go.
I would love to. I'm gonna try and snag some guest passes or
For
guest
sure.
lists or something.
I've got some homies in Austin. I bet they've got like a guy.
Yeah, he's always got tickets for sure.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'd love that. That'd be amazing.
Sure.
Yeah. So tell me more about DJing. We were talking before the pod about like the state of DJing right now, especially in different cities.
Yeah.
New York is. I've heard from multiple people that it's kind of at the top right now.
Yeah. I think because we're in it right now, we don't see it. We're so close to like our market where we're like, oh, I bet every other city is like kind of popping like this. But a lot of DJs have been coming in from out of town to just like hang out and catch up and whatever. And all I'm hearing is kind of the struggles actually of a lot of other markets in the United States, which I haven't heard that throughout my career. Like every city had its big club, and like, you know, if you traveled to San Fran or LA or whatever, like, you know, Scottsdale, what have you, like these are the clubs that you play. They bring in national touring open format DJs or whatever, and it's like slowly getting a little bit harder. Money's getting a little bit lower. And now New York is just like, New York is having its renaissance right now. Um, there was this very kind of dark period of New York nightlife where there was a monopoly by one large company. And previous to that, New York was the best because it was all one-offs. These like independent operators, none of it was corporate. You could still get paid in cash, you know, like, I mean, I miss those days.
That's the dream. That must have been
nice, you know. But it was just the best because, you know, you got different experiences. Every club was different. Every club had different operators, GMs, vibes, you know, door people. It wasn't this like big Kmart like machine, you know. And New York is getting back to that. There are a lot of individual one-off nightclubs, and the big operators are like not in charge anymore, which is beautiful for New York. Like, competition is the best, you know. It's diversified. There's like Afro house clubs and deep house clubs, and then we have like the monster raves in Brooklyn. Like, you know, last night the Brooklyn Hangar had a Lesso. You know, you're talking about like a couple thousand people. Brooklyn Mirage, obviously, like one of the best venues in the world at this moment. And then the big box clubs with your Nebulas and your Marquees and what have you. But then we have micro clubs now, which are fucking sick. You're talking about like 1 to 200 people, but like a fantastic experience that has been missing in nightlife for a while. Like, we're almost getting back to hospitality. Like, hospitality lost that for a while, you know, post bottle service kind of coming out and venues being like, whoa, we can like mark this up, like, you know, I don't know what the fucking markup is. It's got to be like 1,000% or some shit, and then make all this money and ba 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 ba. You know, it was like the gold rush. But then, you know, what comes with money? It's kind of like what we were just talking about with Kill Tony. It's like you lose that personal experience, you lose that hospitality end of it, and it was like hospitality wasn't so hospitable. And New York is really kind of getting back to that. So having a diverse portfolio of nightclubs, different vibes, different genres, different sizes, it's like, I think it's just the best market in the country right now.
That's sick. Are the newer spots that are opening up now, the newer, like, for lack of a better term, mom and pop, like the one-off spots, sure. Is it more so people that are doing it for the first time? You know what I'm saying? Like,
usually not.
It's an older
usually
company
not,
or something.
Sometimes what I'm seeing now are more experienced operators who have the capital to invest, the liquor licenses. They've been in front of the community board before or what have you, handling that sort of part of it, and then handing over the reins to like new promotional groups in New York City that have kind of come up where they don't really have that footprint with the city or the money to put up or whatever, but they're like, they have the people. So it's kind of a combo platter, or it's been experienced operators that are like evolving with the times. Like there's this club in New York City called Chachi, where that operator is the same operator from this club in New York City called Kane, when Kane was open in like 05, 06, 07, like this incredible age in New York nightlife. But like that same operator back, like to run like a sort of like micro club, like really, really interesting stuff happening.
That's awesome. I asked because I feel like it's stale as fuck here. Chicago is stale.
Man, I'm sorry to fucking hear that. I really am. I'm sorry to hear that for any city, like any market, because I've been traveling for so long that it just stinks to hear that nightlife in these cities aren't popping like it used to. And I've kind of had these conversations before, and like I feel like I kind of know the answer where like, we have, which we never had, Netflix, dating apps, social media, I mean, it's like sad to get into like the inflation part of it where it's like it's very expensive to do anything. It's expensive to live. I literally just posted like this goofy meme video or something, and it was like this person like stepped out of their apartment and it was like cha-ching, like $100, and it's like, God damn, like Ubers, it's just expensive to exist. So I don't think people really have that amount of income to just blow on kind of a risky experience, because most of the times if you go to a nightclub, you have no idea how it's going to go. It's going to be expensive. Are you going to get pushed around? Like, what's the experience going to be like? Drinks are $20. It's like, you go with a girl, you have a couple rounds, you're $100 in Ubers, and like you're just kind of standing in GA, like being shoved. Like, it doesn't sound great for the amount of money.
Right.
So I would rather, or those persons would rather swipe, hopefully connect with somebody, go on like a low key date or like Netflix and chill. And it's like, yeah, like, that makes more sense.
That does add up. I never really thought about it like that. I mean, yeah, inflation, prices are high, definitely, but I never really thought about like just the weighing out of options, right? Like I could leave the crib, spend this money and do this, something might happen. I don't know.
And it's a big might, you know, and like you could just kind of be treated like shit. Like doormen are rough sometimes, and you might not even get in. You might leave. You might take this Uber all the way to this venue, and the door might be like, not tonight.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay. I'll just go fuck myself. It's fine, like. So would I leave the crib for that risk? And then you're already in the hole. You already got in the Uber. You got dressed. You took the time to like try to put something together, and you're beat.
Now you're pot committed. Now you got to walk over to the next spot.
Right. So now you're just going, and now you're like, oh, you're on Google Maps, like bar. Like I don't know. What's the next thing? So like, I understand people like not wanting to commit to that kind of experience because there's no guarantee.
Yeah. So I feel like one of the potential solutions is like guaranteeing fun.
Sure.
Which fun I have been saying for a while now is kind of hard to find.
Yeah.
It's hard to find fun these days.
Mm-hmm.
You used to go out and it was just fun. It was a good time, no matter what happened. Even if you got shitted on at the front door, you can go find some fun somewhere.
For sure.
It's hard to find these days.
I don't know what happened to it. I think if we're just kind of talking about it from like a nightlife perspective, I think venues and nightlife in general just got real serious, and it was all of this like exclusivity and cool and red velvet ropes. And like, we forgot that people are just like 9 times out of 10 trying to like survive, and they just want to like come out, let off some steam, dance, hopefully meet somebody, like maybe get laid, like real basics. And it's like, then the venues get real specific on like who they want to let in and and it's like, it just slowly was like, oh, this is a little less fun. Oh, this is a little less fun. And then even the coolest clubs doesn't look like anybody's having fun. There was one city, I mean, like, well, we should go back and we should talk about what we're going to bleep. But like, so how about this? I'll go about this a different way. My favorite cities are the quote unquote, not that cool city. Those cities go off. Those people come out, they dance, they have put their fucking phone in their pocket. They have a fucking blast. And the cool cities are on their phone, just like sitting at a table with like $10,000 of alcohol on it. Just like, this sucks.
Yeah.
And they're in like one of the greatest nightclubs in the country. Some of them are like, internationally ranked. And I'm DJing, like working. And this is fucking right. It's fucking right.
That sucks. Yeah, that's true. I used to play in Milwaukee once a month back before COVID.
Great fucking example.
Bro.
Yeah.
The parties there were the most fun because that is the most fun you can have there,
And
I feel like.
do you know what Milwaukee's, because I've played in Milwaukee, do you know what their like mantra is or whatever?
Drink beer?
No. Or no. They're like saying, I don't know, maybe they were lying to me or whatever, but this is what they told me. They were like, at least we're not. And I was like, wow. I was like, that was rough. But like, I talk a ton about and people, every time I bring it up, they go, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a fucking blast. I'm like, it's a sleeper city. I'm like, the girls are hot. The people come out and party. I'm like, it's fucking awesome. And they're like, I don't believe you. And then I show them a video of and they go, that's and I go, stop going to like, stop going to like, you're not going to have that time there.
Yeah.
We can bleep that. We can bleep that out. I don't want to, I'm not trying to throw shade.
You want to cut that out? We're going to have to tell Diamond Cut. You got to cut that out.
But yeah, the sleeper cities have always been my shit. It's like these cities where people are like, that's not a party city. And you come back and you're like, what the fuck just happened? It was fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not like on the map because they have the craziest parties or the clubs that stay open 24 hours and all that.
It's not. People are just a little bit more down to earth. They're not as caught up in their own shit. And like, they just are there to have fun and like keeping it simple, just having a good time. Why is that so fucking hard?
I don't know. I feel like so John Boy does the best job of that. 100%.
We can talk about that. And like, I think a lot has to do with their theme of fun. And like, I do love that their business model is like founded in this sing along, feel good. Like, it is like a disco club, but like, you know, there's offshoots and I want to dance with somebody and like that kind of shit. And I think that's where people are at. Like, you know, they don't want it to be this very hip hop and like serious. Hip hop is like the wrong thing, but just like very serious like nightclub experience. I feel like that ship has sailed.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any more fun at John Boy, you're on the dance floor, you're singing your heart out, you're sweating, you're having a good time.
And you're doing the YMCA.
You're doing the YMCA, and all of a sudden you got your hands over here for the C, and someone's passing you a pizza or something. They're passing out burgers and pizzas and shit. Like, it's incredible.
Why is that so hard to do? Pizza costs operators nothing, and it like how much happier are you with a piece of pizza in your hand?
Me personally, I can't get any happier.
Right. Exponentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like pizza or sex. I mean, like, they're on the same ballpark. You know, pizza, it just makes you fucking happy.
Yeah. I used to play that game all the time when I was single, actually. If I went home and didn't get sex, I'd get pizza.
You get pizza. Right.
And then sometimes if you did get the sex, you'd reward yourself
with pizza
for doing such a good job with pizza.
I put it down tonight. I owe myself a slice.
Yeah,
for sure.
What I mean, it just seems so simple, but it's also like meeting with other clubs and trying to get them to like throw a party that makes sense. I'm like, let's come up with a theme for the night. Let's name it so that it's intriguing to people or tells them a little bit more, gives them information, make a graphic that shows that's cohesive, like put everything in this package that you could just give to someone and be like, look at how fun this is. Like, I always compare it to John Boy. I'm like, look at John Boy.
Right.
They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Everything adds up. Everything makes sense.
Yeah. They are setting themselves up for success, especially when you're delivering that message to a consumer. You know, I think we went through this era, and we're definitely still in it with certain operators, where they're like, open the doors, loud music, alcohol, blinking lights. We're going to make a bunch of money, right? And it's like, I think that ship has sailed. And like, the consumer is continuously getting smarter, knowing exactly what they want. It's like my new favorite, and this is hilarious, but like TikTok is my like, I guess like Google Maps or Yelp for food. Like, cause I go to a new city every weekend, and like for forever. John Boy and Forward is a great example because I was just in Cleveland and I've been DJing there for 7 years. I was the grand opening of Forward, and I have not eaten. I've eaten in the same restaurant in Cleveland every time I'm there, lots of times for lunch and dinner. It's just downstairs in the hotel, and I've never gone anywhere else.
You didn't go to Margaritaville?
No.
You weren't at Jimmy Buffett's?
No. Sorry about that. No. Literally just downstairs. And now wherever I go onto TikTok, and I'm like, best food in wherever. I was just in Indianapolis, and I found like this bomb ass taco spot where you would be like, Indianapolis, like tacos, but every city has bomb ass food, but it's hard to find.
Yeah. What'd you look up for this trip to Chicago?
I haven't done anything yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm being taken out to dinner later on, so
okay.
And I came fucking here. So
nice. Yeah.
It was like I looked up best podcast, and then it just brought me
TikTok
to
brought you right here. Hell yeah. How long have you been coming here?
Chicago?
Mm-hmm. To DJ.
I've only been traveling to DJ. I've like almost like never gone anywhere to not DJ.
Yeah.
So I've been coming to Chicago for like at least 15 years. Like all the clubs I started DJing here pretty much don't exist except Roof on the Wit. I've been playing Roof on the Wit since like it opened.
Damn.
And before that.
And you were at Lumen, right? I saw you had a residency
I was
at
at
Lumen.
Lumen, and then I think it was called Enclave.
Enclave, yeah, that was huge.
Enclave, I played it. I mean, I don't have the years, but I remember the hairdos, and they were different, not so good. So
you had a faux hawk. You had a faux hawk.
I had the faux hawk.
Yeah.
I was like just a walking fire hazard. It was just like so much gel in my hair.
You had the Ed Hardy shirts.
I used to actually DJ at the Ed Hardy store in Meatpacking for free. They would pay me in clothes. And this is when Ed Hardy was cool for like a second, okay? But I also had the soul patch. I had the Flavor Saver, rough. No,
just that. Clean shave. Just the soul patch.
I had no real people in my life. That's really what I got to, where I was like, no one was like, what? And then I go back to girls that I dated, and I was like,
you let this happen?
You had sex with that. Like, shame on you, shame on everybody.
Everybody's everybody's
you let me leave
at
the
fault.
house like that.
Yeah. I feel you. There was a time before I started shaving my head for real where I was walking around with like a dead raccoon on the top of my head. It was
were you like thinning?
Bad.
Okay.
Big thinning, yeah.
Yeah. I was very concerned about that for a very long time because my mom's father was bald at like 20 or something. My cousin was balding in high school. Like senior in high school. You're like 17 at that point. Like I was like, well, this is coming. This is going to happen.
Life hits you fast.
And my brother is pretty much gone by now. And like, I look up every day and I'm just like,
you got it nice. Yeah. You got a nice
I have the widow's peak, which I think is just my hairline. Cause I look at pictures from way back then and it's just cause I was buzzing my head because I was basically preparing to go bald. And I'm like, look, it'll be like a short transition, like buzz to, nothing.
You would look good bald though. I could tell. I mean, I could see it. You don't have a bad shaped head. You got the face for it. You'd have like, you got the beard for it for sure. You'd have like a little
bald filter before. And
you didn't like it?
I think I got like a little alien looking thing.
There'd be like a Sicilian Jason Statham kind of thing going on.
I hope so. I hope I don't have to find out, but I mean that would be nice. Thank you.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah, man.
So what's your favorite part about Chicago? Actually, I want to get into. Well, you're. I guess you're not necessarily a New York guy. You are, but you said you were more like Long Island and sort of stayed there.
I stayed in Long Island for a long time. I was working so much at this point in my career that it was really silly for me to move out. I was still living with my parents. I was working Oh my God. This was my week. It was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday I was working in Atlantic City. So I would go to Atlantic City on a Friday and stay there until Tuesday morning when I would come home. Tuesday night, I was playing this club in New York City called Stereo, which was DJ AM's club. Thursday nights, I was doing 10 June, which was, again, the hottest club in New York City at that time. And then I would go back to Atlantic City on Friday. So I would like take the Long Island Railroad into the city, take Greyhound from the Port Authority to Atlantic City, stay there for 4. I had no time to do anything. I was off for like one day a fucking week. So I just stayed home, stacked all my money, and saved the shit out of it.
And you never met a Jew. Who taught you how to save?
My father. I know. I like never met a Jew. I moved to New York City and everyone's Jewish, but like I don't know, like working because I was already going to engineering school, so like everyone was black, white, lesbian, like gay, like it was such the other side of the
It's like
spectrum.
an art school-ish,
yeah,
right?
because once you get into the arts, everyone is everything, and I never gave a shit. I was like, are you good at what you do or you're not good at what you do? And like, what do I care? Like if you're straight or gay or black or white, I don't give a fuck. So, but moving to New York City was just hilarious because everyone was Jewish. And I was like, oh, well, hi.
They're underground and shit.
Yeah, stop. I like tried to like watch those news stories and I was like, I don't even know.
I just watch the memes. I just like the memes.
Yeah, I know. I don't even know what to make of this, so I'm just gonna keep it moving. So how do you want to do it? Because my career, I did so much before 4 a.m. Like I had DJ'd in every major market in the United States. I had been traveling my ass off, and then started going international before. Like I think the only one person that I really knew that was going internationally before me was Beat Breaker, and he was so big in Asia, and I was like, what's over there? And I was like, then I played in like Japan, I've played in China, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, like Taiwan, like I've played in all these countries, and then 4 a.m. came. So like, how do you want to kind of like?
Well, DJing, I mean, I just have a question.
Sure.
DJing outside of the country like that, how do you know what they want? You just going in blind? Or do you have like a what do they call it when they set you up with someone that's sort of?
No, I didn't have like a handler or something. I went over there and I definitely like preempted my trips with like, you know,
did you go out the night before and listen to what's going on at the club?
I ended up basically going to the club early.
Okay.
Plus I was like international alone, so I was just like, fuck. And plus you're like so jet lagged. You're like, well, what else am I gonna fucking do right now? I'm wide fucking awake.
Yeah.
And I went and I have like this really hilarious memory of I'm in Malaysia. I mean, this is the furthest into Asia that I've traveled because Malaysia is like Southeast Asia. It's like sort of like by Indonesia. Watch me be like really wrong. So it was like I took like 3 flights. I remember flying to like Frankfurt to Singapore and connecting again. So I'm in Kuala Lumpur. I don't know where I am, what part of the world. I'm super lost. And I'm like, what the fuck am I going to play tonight? Am I playing? You're just booking me? Like I'm just playing me? Like, so I go downstairs to the club and I think like the Black Eyed Peas album had like just dropped at this point. I don't know what year that might be, but they are like rinsing Black Eyed Peas. And I'm like, oh, they just want American music. Black Eyed Peas, Rihanna, da, 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 da. It was like just another night. And I remember watching people sing all of the English lyrics and then not being able to talk to them after because they didn't actually speak English. They just like knew the words. It's kind of like people who are like fans of K-pop now. That's a thing, but like in reverse. Mm-hmm. So they just liked American music. I just came back from Japan. It was all American music.
That's crazy.
I don't know how it translates, or I think it's just like kind of something where like American culture leaves such a mark on other cultures, but I just love how like Japan does everything better than we do.
Has Bad Bunny gotten to Japan yet?
Latin was a little bit big. The one thing that was like kind of sad that flopped was like Morgan Wallen. Like that country hadn't made it to Japan yet.
Really?
Yeah. That was kind of sad.
That would be hilarious
I
to
played
see.
last night, like kind of like a remix of it, and people were like, nope.
That would be amazing. A room full of Japanese people just singing country music.
Well, it's probably possible and probably coming, because if you think about it, like Asian countries or cultures has like adopted so much American culture. Like they're better at like hip hop than we are. Like they like are so much more respectful of like that culture. Like they just do everything better. I could talk about Japan all day. It's my favorite shit.
Yeah, I need to get out of the country. I need to go experience.
I'm going back. I have two more rounds already booked for this year. Come with.
That's awesome.
Let's go. I'm going in May.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you need if you need someone to carry your backpack or something, I got you.
Be my handler.
We'll go film some pods out there.
Bro, there's so many amazing Japanese DJs. Like, I don't even know if this makes it on the podcast or not, but like you could like, it would be so amazing to interview them. They're unbelievable at what they do. Be actually kind of like an untapped thing.
Yeah, that'd be super dope.
For sure.
The what got you into DJing? Were you like a hip hop guy from the start?
No. So I had some older cousins that were DJing when I was like 8, and they were doing like house parties, frat parties, like that garbage. And when I was like 10, I remember like carrying their records to a party that was in like this catering hall by my parents' house, and just watching them and being like, what the fuck is this? Like they can just like play a song and then like people fucking lose their mind. Like I was like, I don't understand. But like I was like intrigued on like that kind of control that they had,
like
where
a
it was
magic trick.
Yeah, it's like boop, and then people, like. So I used to ride my bike to my cousin's house. I'm like 14 or something like that. I would ride my bike a couple miles to his house and just like be terrible in his basement for a really long time. And then eventually they kind of like aged out of it or whatever, and they gave me all their shit. So at that point, another cousin of mine who we went to the same high school, and he's 2 years older than me by the day, which is strange. We both have the same birthday. He sort of started DJing with me. So he was old enough to drive. So I basically practiced for a year, and then we like started to do stuff together. So that's really kind of how I started.
And like what kind of music were you mixing?
Back
just
then,
the records that they had left you?
It started with that, and then I started just like spending every dollar that I had like at record stores or whatever.
Just on the most popular party shit.
For sure. Yeah. Like rave culture was kind of like a thing. Like I remember buying like, Zombie Nation on record, and like, but that record cost me like $12 for that one song. Or like Follow Me, but then also like hip hop, like Too Close and Next. Like I think that came out when I was in like high school. So it was like this weird, that pretty much. I didn't do like classics or like none of that came into my orbit until I started doing weddings when I was like 17.
You were doing weddings at 17.
So
that's kind of crazy.
I'll give you like this.
You really are Benjamin Buttons.
I'll give you the quick synopsis. So I started DJing at 14. At 15, I'm in 10th grade. I'm doing middle school dances, teen nights, and then the same guys that I was doing teen nights for did 18 and overs. So my dad, bless his soul, would drive me to the club, go home, go pass out, and then wake up and then pick me up. I'm sitting outside the club on my crates at 4:00 in the morning. I'm 15, DJing 18 and overs. This was like back when like I was like, I didn't know what alcohol was. Dance contests, girls. Like I was like, I don't even know, but I was good at what I did. So they were like, let's go. So now I'm doing teen nights all over Long Island. I started doing some after proms in the city. So I was lucky enough to play like Sound Factory and like Exit and these like legendary clubs that like don't exist anymore. When I'm 16, I'm a busboy at a catering hall. I meet this guy DJing a wedding, and I'm like, oh, I'm a fucking DJ. I'm like, what's up? And he's like, all right, when you turn 17, call me when you get your license. So I was okay. Turn 17, I get my license. I start working for this mobile DJ company, and I'm good already. So they're like, cool, like here you go, like start fucking working. So from 17 to 23, I was doing like 4 and 5 parties a weekend. I was doing Friday night, double Saturday, double Sunday, and still DJing this 18 and over in Long Island at this club in West Hempstead called Oz. And then when I had graduated from audio school, I was working my 9 to 5 in the city. And then me and my father built a recording studio in my basement, and I was running the studio out of my basement after work on weeknights.
Damn.
So I was recording rappers and like mixing people's albums and shit, probably horrifically, but like, you know, I was like charging like $30 an hour, and like people would be like waiting outside my parents' house when I would come home off the train from the city. I would eat dinner on my little audio desk, but me and my dad built like a vocal booth. We built all this whole fucking shit, and it was actually in the boiler room of my parents' house, so we called it Boiler Room Studios.
That's sick.
So 23, I'm part of this hip hop mixtape team with my friends from college, Lex and Wex, called Tape Masters Inc. We were like doing these huge fucking numbers because the mixtape culture in New York was huge, like Green Lantern and Envy and all these people. And they got me a gig at this club called Vela, which was like a restaurant or some shit. And the promoter was this guy named Johnny Shipes, who Johnny Shipes owns a huge label now and is like such a big deal. I can't think of, I'm going blank. I always go blank on the name of the label. But I basically started DJing this club, and then I found out about like DJ AM, and like I found out about I found out about Serato because I was still using CDs, and I would bring CDJs with me to the club because I was doing mashups and edits and shit in my parents' basement. So I made one mixtape. I made 10,000 copies of it, and I just gave it fucking out.
What was it called?
Nothing. It was literally called Nothing. It's like this black and white CD. I like spent a bunch of money, got it printed real nice, and like it was back when those CD duplicators were a thing. They looked like computer towers. I bought like 2 of those, and just me in my fucking basement every night, just making copies. And
you had to check the CD to make sure you saw that it got
written. Yeah. And the fucking work started to come. So now I'm like 23, 24, and enter like New York City. And now I'm DJing these cool clubs with like red velvet ropes and whatever. 24, 25, I have this manager, gets me an audition in Atlantic City. I've never been to Atlantic City before. I go, I audition, I get the gig, and now I'm DJing.
You had to audition for a gig?
Yeah, well, for a residency.
And how was that? Like just an empty room?
No, I DJ'd like a regular club.
Okay, and they were just like, you did a great job.
Come on in.
Okay.
Yeah. And then suddenly I went from not DJing nightclubs. So I was just doing mobile parties and then that one like club in Long Island, to in like 6 months DJing like the coolest clubs in New York City. And then suddenly I had the coolest club on the eastern seaboard in Atlantic City called Murmur. Murmur was the spot. It was the first time that I had heard of like they started bringing in DJs from other cities, and then I was the resident. So I met Vice and Five and Fashion and Kevin Scott and Spider and Obi-Wan and Echo and like the squad. I met like the Avengers of DJing.
That's sick.
And I'm like still soul patch, faux hawk, glasses. I met AM. I started like talking to AM, like, and then we actually got close because I would be like in my mom's basement making mashups, talking to him on AIM, and then like emailing him stuff and being like, oh, do you like this? Do you like that? And then I would hear him playing my mashups out. I died.
That's insane.
I died. I was like, imposter syndrome just like keeps coming up in my career. So this is like I'm like 26, 27. So I have 10 June, hottest club on earth in New York City, Thursday night resident. Friday, Saturday, Monday, Murmur, hottest club in the like kind of like the country, resident. And then I met my manager at that time, Ricky Greenstein, and he was like, let's fucking go. So the combination of those two things, the rest of the country was like, oh, yeah, like, come on in. So like every city was like, here's all this cash and you're here once a month, once a quarter, once a whatever. So I had 17 residencies around the country at like 26 or some shit. So like I went from like bar mitzvahs to being on the road constantly, like never home in like a matter of like a year, 2 years, fucking max. And we just fucking ran it. Then I started doing international. It was like, it all happened so fucking fast. I mean, New York City, Atlantic City, Shrine in Connecticut, the estate in Boston. It was like Stingery in San Diego. Like I was playing Access Radius in Scottsdale, Playhouse in LA, Pure in Vegas. It was bonkers.
That's insane.
From mitzvahs.
And would you really like attest that to making those 10,000 mixes and
100%.
just?
Well, I mean, I backed it up with like my performances after that, but like that got my foot in the door.
Right.
And it was like such an homage to AM because I knew nothing. I didn't go out. I wasn't cool. I didn't go to the clubs. I was like this guy that the only reason I actually ever became really good at DJing was because it was either that or watch TV. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have shit. So I was like, let's fucking practice DJing. Like, and I just kind of got good at it. And then AM kind of introduced me on like how to mix different genres. And like, you know, so much of my early career was such an homage to him. For one reason, he was obviously just like incredible, but like I also knew nothing. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what nightclubs were or what they played or were they cool or, you know, it was mostly from ignorance.
That's awesome. The mix that you put out, what like if you could describe your style at the time, or maybe it is still your style at this current time that stuck with you, like what was it? What were you doing that sort of was making you stand out more than everyone? Song selection, transitions, genres.
It was like a little bit all of the above. And it was just playing, like there was so much random shit thrown onto this mix CD, and it was very early in the game of like people playing unorthodox things in the club. And like still to this day, I just got an Instagram DM the other day. Somebody has like my really old fucking mashups, and like this was one that AM used to play, and I made it as a joke for the girl I was dating at the time for her birthday. And it was when everyone put everything over the Tipsy beat, and I put the girl I was dating was like a theater dork, and I put the song from Rent over it, 525,600 minutes, and I put that over Tipsy, and then AM would play it all the time. That was on the mix CD.
That's awesome.
So stuff like that, like just this unorthodox shit, kind of mixed with like normal stuff you would play, but then it was like 80s and rock, and it was fucking all over the place.
Do you think that right now, in the time that we're in, is the closest time to that era of playing off the wall shit in the club?
We're getting there.
You think it's getting back there right now?
It's definitely getting back there. I think the only challenge is like, I think this era of people going to nightlife has a smaller library, whereas like when I was their age, I knew like the 50s like doo-wop from my dad, and like the 70s and like easy listening. I didn't even know I was like a yacht rock aficionado from my mom like drilling the easy listening station into me, but like I came up on in a client meeting and they were like, oh, like this song, and I was like, oh, like this, and I was like, I just knew it because that's all my mom listened to. It's kind of like what they play in like the dentist office. And then my brother and my sister hit me with like the 80s, and like my brother had like a Metallica hard rock phase, so I knew what like Blind Melon was, and like Nirvana and Metallica and like all this kind of like grunge rock. And then my sister was like into New Kids on the Block and freestyle, because we're Italian, you know, that's what it is.
A little freestyle.
Like, a little Stevie B and whatever, George Lamont. So, you know, I had like this fucking catalog, and like 90s dance was fucking huge, and like finally CeCe Peniston and like all this kind of stuff. So I think nowadays the only difference is like we lack this depth of library, and I don't know if it's just because of like the older generations don't listen to that much shit anymore, or maybe they do, it's just it doesn't go that far back, you know. I mean, like one of my younger DJs, he was opening for me the other night, and he played like More Than a Woman, the Bee Gees, and it like goes off. He actually loads it, and I look and I go, what? Like,
what are you gonna do with that?
He goes, wait, Grandpa, like with his eyes, and he plays it, and it like goes off, and I was like, what the fuck is that? It's another one of those I have to unlearn things. So I think that mixtape really kind of set me apart. But then I also had the skills to kind of back it up. I was infatuated with the battle culture really early, but I was a party rocking DJ. So I could cut and scratch and crab and like beat juggle and do all this shit, but I was more really interested into party rocking. But like every once in a while I would kind of break out the scratching, just like a little small doses.
Just a little taste.
Just to be like, I shut the fuck up. I got it. Like I can do this. Like,
yeah.
I relax.
Hell yeah. Do you think that like probably a 21 to 24-year-old person, when their parents were listening to the shit in the car when they were younger that we soaked up in the back, they didn't get that because they probably had earbuds in. They probably had a little iPod on, right?
They're
listening to their own shit
or whatever. You know, I don't know what the fuck kids. I don't have kids. I can't help you there. You know, like,
Blimpy. They're watching Blimpy.
I don't know what that is.
Some fucking weirdo on YouTube that makes children's videos.
Yeah, I bet, you know, when we grew up, we were forced to watch what our parents watched and listen to what our parents listened and go where our parents went. And like, you know, we weren't alone. We weren't in our headphones. We weren't on our iPads. You know, we did what they did and listened to what they did and like that kind of thing. So like, yeah, I bet kids miss out on a ton of gems.
Yeah.
Because we're like separate, you know. I guess it's probably easier for parents to do it that way because it's like, shut the fuck up and here's your iPad and, you know, be quiet while I eat dinner or while we drive or whatever. But, you know, looking forward, and you miss out on all that knowledge and those gems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that I was at John Boy last night with Heavy, actually, and he played Sir Mix-a-Lot. I Like Big Butts, sure. Classic. And everyone knew it, which shocked me. It shouldn't shock me, but it did shock me. All the young chicks were all singing it, and I'm like, how do you I played Candy Rain one time, and like nobody knew what the fuck was going on.
Candy Rain's a little older. Candy Rain's more of like a R&B gem.
Yeah.
Sir Mix-a-Lot is just kind of like a pop, and it was like became kind of a pop culture reference, and like it got rinsed in like those like best of the 90s or like fucking whatever, and then Nicki Minaj redid it. So like there's a bunch of different reasons you would know Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Candy Rain joint though, obviously.
Candy Rain, yeah, that one flopped. I need better like Candy Rains for this era's.
Yeah. That's why I was having that little powwow with my younger DJs, because I was looking for Candy Rains of right now.
Yeah.
And like Sweet Escape is such a great example of like, or like Sean Kingston or like something like that, where I'm like,
that makes me so mad. Don't even say that name in here, bro. God.
What, Sean Kingston? I mean, like every generation is going to be different, and it's like we can kind of like get into this we can use this as like a segue into like kind of getting older and like whatever, but like um I had some really great mentors coming up. I was on my first management agency, which was Mood Swing, and I was the young guy on the roster, and it was Scribble. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mood Swing was out of New York?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were out of New York. Scribble was like our guy at that time. Riz, Sizz, shout out to Scissorhands, Crook and Clan. We had like Far East Movement. We had LMFAO before they like really went. So I like watched LMFAO pop, and like I would go do shows with them. Like, why am I going? I went to like, I did shows with LMFAO at like the Kentucky Derby, and like I have all these weird pictures of like me and Sky Blue and Red Foo from like before they're like really big.
Yeah.
One of our other DJs really went on tour with them.
Same
Jason
outfits
Smith.
though?
Yeah. This was their brand and whatever. And it's like, I actually remember I have this crazy memory of listening to Party Rock Anthem before it came out, and they were like running it by all the DJs. And I was like, this is awful. I was like, and it was like such a big song.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm happy to be wrong. I'm a human being.
Yeah.
But Riz had a lot of these like really interesting like gems, and like I don't know if you know Riz, like legend in the game.
I know him from watching him on the Road podcast.
Quiet guy, but he would be like, I think it's probably still in like his Instagram bio or Twitter bio or something, but it was like consistency is longevity, and I was like, all right, okay, Confucius, okay,
Yeah.
I'm like so young that I was like. Or he would be like, evolve or die or something like that. And I was like, wow. And it didn't apply to me till so much later in my career, where you become a little bit older. Maybe your priorities in life are changing. Some people get married, some people have kids, some people just kind of like fall in and out of love with DJing. I mean, like that is something that I have gone through multiple times where I'm like, you get burnt out. It could be DJing, it could be drinking too much, or booze, or drugs, or girls. Like this life is every opportunity for any vice that you may have or may not have, which is funny because I never drank. I met DJ Vice, shout out to Eric, and he was like, we drink tequila. So like this is like all like full circle of like my like sort of like imposter syndrome being like, oh, I'm a DJ. This is what I'm supposed to do. We're supposed to get drunk at work. We're supposed to take shots. We're supposed to drink tequila. I have no idea. I'm literally just being like, this guy is, one of the biggest DJs in the country, huge Vegas resident, travel, crushing the game. I'm going to follow that.
Yeah.
Okay, here we are. Like, let's fucking go. So, most of it, we were just trying to like figure out what we were supposed to do. So like now I basically don't drink anymore. Here and there I'll like take mushrooms and like have a little good time, but I can't take shrooms and DJ. It's like, it doesn't connect. It just stresses me out. So like, getting older, like you have to be able to like be malleable and evolve, and like new music, old music, like when like a certain kind of hip hop was coming out, I was like, this is hot garbage. Like I can't connect. It just doesn't, I can play it. I can play anything. Sure. But like, is that like love there? That passion there? Like not when you grew up on Pac and Biggie, and like, it's fucking tough. It's like real tough when like, you're a senior in high school and like not ready to die. What was the album More Money, More Problems came out on? Wow.
Life
After Death.
Life After Death. Yeah.
Yeah. Life After Death comes out and you're just rinsing that, like that was me, like Wu-Tang and like all that New York shit. And it's like listening to new hip hop. It's challenging.
It's challenging is a good word for it.
It just, I don't know why it doesn't connect. And I my guess is age or content and like maybe what they're talking about, or I don't know. I don't fucking know.
There's not a lot of life. There's not a lot of soul in it. Like, you know, those
Yeah.
all that Biggie shit sampled. It comes from real music that was made by a human that then another human took and made something else.
I
This
have
new
theories.
shit is
Yeah, I have theories. Like, I think a lot of the older hip hop was like very storytelling, that kind of thing, and I think that era of hip hop kind of died, or like a lot of those artists kind of like aren't as relevant as they used to, or what have you. And then I think one of our biggest challenges in music today is I think most music is not made by musicians. You know, if you think about it, like your average person maybe making beats is like maybe sampling, can't play a key, can't play a guitar, can't play anything like that. Dance music for sure has a lack of musicality. And that's also not to say that people can't make really good music without having that, but like having that musicality in you, like to know that this sounds good or this, like, you know, it's kind of like when people talk about Prince and he played like every instrument, you know, it's like we don't have that anymore. So like music being made by people that aren't musicians, and then you're kind of confused on why music doesn't sound that great, or like music doesn't have staying power. Like, you know, people always laugh about like a Bruno Mars or something like that. Those songs will be here for forever because he's a musician, and they're even like just being maybe it's not you, maybe it's surrounding yourself with musicians. Like I make music, but I have a partner who is this incredible musician who I have skill sets that he doesn't have. He has obvious skill sets that I don't fucking have, but it's not just me in a dark room banging against a computer using like splice samples where I'm like, I don't have like a music reference where he's like, you know, that chord doesn't go together. That doesn't sound good. This
he
should
speaks the language.
Yeah, 100%. I need a translator because I'm not fluent in this language. So it makes all of the sense for me to use a partner. So that's when people like, you know, music isn't as good anymore. And I'm like, it's kind of fucking obvious. It's kind of obvious.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just my 2 cents. I could be wrong.
It's making me sad to even hear that. We need more musicians.
I mean, like, you know, people don't want to be guitar players. They want to be influencers or YouTubers or fucking.
This whole thing's fucking everything up. It's fucking every industry up where everything is, the life is being sucked out of it.
Yeah.
Because people are just like, look at me, look what I can do, but you can't really do anything.
Nothing. Most people are famous for absolutely nothing.
It's insane.
Or they're being celebrated for nothing, you know, and it's like, it's not the Kardashian thing because like they're obviously became business people and like they started empires and like there's something to be said about that. But like originally they were just famous for kind of nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like this, it's very human nature to try and find the easiest way to do it. You know, we're fucking lazy. You know, if we don't have to work hard, we're not going to. But like when they say like, you know, the number one thing when they ask kids like what they want to be when they grow up, and it's like, I want to be a YouTuber, and it's like, I want to be a influencer or something. It's like, we're in trouble.
Yeah. That's got to come second. Like, yeah, be a YouTuber, but like for what? What are you YouTubing? You're amazing at what that you can then put on YouTube.
Sure.
You have to like
know.
you're skipping a step.
I agree with that, but like I also just like think we're missing like that piece of human nature where it's like I wanted to be a fireman because they're like heroes, or like I wanted to be a police officer because they like save people and they keep everyone safe, and like I wanted to be these like fundamental things. Like I wanted to be a doctor so that I could save lives, and blah, 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 you know, like that kind of thing where we're even talking about what you're going to YouTube about is like a strange concept for humans to like even kind of talk about. It's like, I'm going to YouTube about bacon, egg, and cheeses because I love bacon. It's like, what? It's like that conversation in itself is like, where are we in society?
Yeah. No, I mean, sometimes even thinking about doing this podcast, I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I sitting here filming, putting things
you
like,
can
what
think of
is
it that way,
happening
but
here?
you can also think of it as like, number one, like, I'm very thankful to be here because you're kind of celebrating and like honoring what I've been able to accomplish in my life. So to me, it's very meaningful. It could be very meaningful to DJs or people in our industry kind of on the come up. It's also entertaining. Like, people do need something to do while they're commuting to work or something along those lines. So you are providing like a service there. So like interviewing people, I don't think that's throwing time away for all of those reasons. So like, I don't know if I would apply it to that, but like when you start talking about, like a bacon, egg, and cheese expert, like, I mean, say less, like I'm in there like swimwear, but like that's not, that's not really providing for society.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
So next, I'm on Mood Swing for X amount of years, touring. Now we're international. Great. This is one of those points in my life where I'm not sure if I actually made the right decision, but I see myself kind of plateauing, even though that plateau was sick. I'm still touring like a motherfucker, but I'm like, I'm playing kind of like the same rooms in the same cities, but I'm like still gigging like a motherfucker. And I go, you know what? I think I'm going to change management. Questionable decision. Questionable. I changed management, and I think a lot of things changed in that point. I think the game changed a little bit. Some of my residencies ended because clubs closed, operators closed, nightlife started to shift a little bit. So like, I don't know if it was a bad decision, but like, maybe it's possible. It's very possible. So I signed to a new management called Stadium Red. They have these guys on this management called the Chainsmokers. And
Never heard of them.
I'm like, so you guys like to smoke cigarettes? I was like, cool. I was like, cool. So it's the original Chainsmokers. It's Alex and Rhett. Drew wasn't a part of the group yet, but they're like opening for me and like doing very low level shows in New York City. They were nobodies at the time. That was the management where I was like, oh, I'm going to be like a dance music DJ. Like, so think about it. I like leave this. I'm killing it as an open format DJ. Not only do I leave that management, but I pivot to a new management and then pivot into dance music. It was tough. Tough is the understatement of the century. So that happens. That management runs its course, doesn't work out. And 4 a.m. had kind of popped up in New York City. So I signed to 4 a.m. I'm just an artist on the roster. The Chainsmokers came to 4 a.m. as well, different time or whatever. I think they were there before me. And at that time, they had swapped out Rhett for Drew. Drew, I think, was coming from Berkeley. And then the Chainsmokers really started to kind of pop.
Selfie got made.
Pre-selfie. They were actually pretty successful pre-selfie. This is when, do you remember Hype 'em?
Yeah, the blog. Yeah.
This is when Hype 'em was like really fucking important, and the Chainsmokers kept crushing Hype 'em. They were doing like didn't they do that remix of Habits by Tav Lowe or whatever?
I think so. Yeah, I had a couple Chainsmokers remixes.
Huge for them, huge. They were crushing Hype 'em. I was actually producing a lot at that time, and I was doing really well on Hype 'em as well. But one of the owners of 4 a.m. basically took the Chainsmokers and left 4 a.m. Started his own agency and imprint at Sony. still is to this day. Shout out to Adam and Ennis. So the remaining owner of 4am at that time was also a DJ, was like, you know, maybe not the business savvy or what have you. And he was like, I think you would be like really good at this. Hands me half of the company. So I have no management experience. I've literally just been a DJ my whole life, and goes, here.
He saw it inside of you, though.
I don't know.
He knew.
I don't know. But I basically was like, I feel like I can do this, because I was like, I have this wealth of connections from touring for so many years. I have so much experience. I still am this like sort of dork parental dad kind of thing, but like much younger. And I find out that there was like some deal going on in the background where another agency in New York was supposed to buy 4am. There was this young girl that was basically running that agency, which was like a local New York City agency. And then in the midst of this transition, it turns out that this very young, like 21, 22 young girl was basically running both agencies at the same time, handling everyone's schedules, inner workings. And I find out that it's Madison Back. She's my partner now at 4am. So I find out who she is, and I actually find out that she's the backbone of these agencies. That deal falls through. Once I'm made partner at 4am, I go, oh, this person is actually 4am. I go, okay, Madison's now a partner at 4am. So we all own a third at that time. Since then, our partner has we've all parted ways. It's just me and Madison. But that was 9 years ago. And then we really kind of took the industry by storm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who's on 4am?
We have about 25 exclusive DJs right now. I mean, pull up the website, but it's like a plethora of unbelievable open format DJs touring the country. Heavy is one of our guys. Shout out to Heavy. We love him. Rick Wonder, Clutch, So Dope. We have a crazy event series where it's like Mayquak, Mia Moretti, Timo, Luda. We just signed Flash. We have Jake Silva. I'm going blank because I'm thinking about it on the fly. But
yeah,
I
didn't mean to put you on the spot.
That's
you don't
okay.
have to name everybody.
Clutch. But I should be able to know everybody.
I feel like every agency has their flagship.
Yeah, some of our guys have just been there since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Clutch is another DJ that's been around for as long as I have.
Clutch I also saw at John Boy, and I know that he's been DJing at least 27 years.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
He's a beast.
Animal.
Just he's such a quiet guy. He's the throwback DJ that I was kind of talking about, introvert, how did I do? Did they like me? Really unsure, but just a pure murderer of a DJ. Put him in front of the decks, kind of give him a vision, and then leave him alone, and he'll just tear it down.
Yeah.
If once you start to micromanage him, and then he gets in his own head and whatever, which is kind of like most DJs, and it's well, they told me to play 80s, and then but the crowd wasn't. Just be just burn it down.
Let them cook.
Just burn it down. Say less. It's fine.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now, I've never run a company. I've never done shit. I've just been the only job I've ever had was a DJ. I have no corporate experience. I don't know shit. We basically pick up the pieces of this book of business, and we go, okay, and then we just try for a while. We just try. We get the company back on its feet, kind of going. Everyone's working. And then we go, okay, let's take a look at what we're doing, how we're doing it. I'm growing as a human. I'm okay, I have all of this kind of bad experience, but from a lot of agencies, and how, we're music industry adjacent. We're part of it. the music industry is historically shitty to artists. DJs are, another part of that. I'm like, okay, cool. How can we do this better? So once we had gotten the company to a point where we were like humming, we were making some money, everyone was working, everyone was pretty happy. We like stripped it down, changed everything and anything we did about the company. We rewrote all the contracts. We made all these like, which seemed to me like the most simple changes, but it was like we made our contracts 1 year. We made them extremely legible. They were in like layman's terms, where we would always continue to advise people, always have your attorney look at this. But if you don't have an attorney, you could understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I had all of these experiences. Thank God I had the mentors and the money, but I had an agreement put in front of me by one agency, and then I gave it to my attorney. He calls me and he goes, "Do you know what in perpetuity means?" And I go, "No." And he goes, "It means forever." And I said, "Cool." And he goes, "This is what this contract says. They want a piece of every venue that you've ever worked at and or will work at during this agreement, also forever. If you leave or go to another agency, like whatever, it doesn't matter. They will collect a portion of your wages." And I was like, what? Like, and I'm sure a bunch of people signed that agreement with either out reading it, without having an attorney look at it. So having all this experience, we just like started to build these mantras of 4am. And we were like, how can we do this better? How can we think of DJs as human beings, not just these like mules or workhorses where they go out, they do gigs, they play some fucking songs, they get drunk, we get paid, we give them a piece, we take our commission, and like, how can we do it better? So we just started to continue to implement all these things. And I was talking before how, thinking about medical insurance, like we're subcontractors. Can I help? Is there actually a way for me to really do that? And unfortunately, this country is like structured where startup companies that are really small, it's basically financially impossible for us to be able to afford it, especially with the DJs being subcontractors. So like that was always a huge challenge and something that I always wanted to be able to like implement for my guys, because they were my guys, like it becomes family. Madison and I really didn't realize that you become so much more to these men and women. We became their financial advisors. We became their therapists. We became some of their parents. It's happened twice in our career so far, but we've been called from jail when people got arrested. Like one guy was in Japan and he had weed on him and he called us and we were like, "We're not your what? I'm not your dad. Like, call your parents." Like that's wild. When I was only like 30 something at the time, and like these people are looking up to us like parental figures. Like we have it all mapped out. So like we were like, okay, cool. Like this is like a real fucking responsibility. This isn't just kind of how I felt like previous agencies that I was on had treated it. Like they treated it like, yeah, fuck around, make a little money, like, like whatever. Like it is what it is. Like we treated people like human beings. And I think it's really what drew people to us, because there were so many agencies around the country that were signing anyone and everyone, throwing everyone contracts, and then treating them like shit, shelving them, stealing clients from them. I had all of these horror stories from them. And I was like, first off, I don't operate like that as a human being. I don't treat people badly. I don't screw people out of money. I don't owe anyone anything. So like it's kind of started with who Madison and I were as humans. And then we just applied all of those morals to the way we ran our business. And when you do the things the right way and you do your best, even though sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't work out, like you can at least be like, I can sleep at night. I did the best that I can do. I treated everyone fairly and respectfully. That's all I got.
That's admirable. That's amazing. I applaud you for that.
It shouldn't be, though, if you think about it. Like, how hard is it to just be nice or do right by people?
I mean, it sounds so easy, and I like to live my life that way as well. But when money's involved and shit, you know, people get crazy. People get weird.
Yep.
People that don't have their personal life under control
Yeah.
and have their own problems that then they need to start getting more money because they fucked up over here, and you don't really know what's going on over
Sure.
here, but they control all the money over here. So they'll just take a little bit more because they got to solve this
Or
problem.
they'll tell you like the gig was for X when it was really for this, and then they're taking this chunk. Like, we had all of these examples, and we basically continued to refuse to be a part of that machine. Like, we were booking this one DJ from another agency because a client was like specifically requesting her. So everything still went through us. So we run our business completely transparently.
Mhm.
I'm like, listen, if you want to see my emails, go right ahead. It's just a bunch of Viagra ads. There's no, you know, there's no secrets in there. I'm not talking shit about people. The money is what the money is. And basically this owner of this other agency would constantly be like, hey, don't CC the DJ. And we were like, no. We were like, we're going to CC her, and we're going to make sure that she knows exactly how much she's supposed to get paid. If you want to fuck her on other deals or however you behave, that's your life, and you can live it and you can do it, and like, Godspeed. But I won't be a part of you stealing money right out of this young lady's pocket. No thanks.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think that, I don't know, I haven't been in the game for too long, but in my, 10 years and maybe like 7, maybe 6 doing it professionally full time and looking at this DJ world and these agencies and seeing when I first started and was aspiring to become, a DJ on a roster and seeing who was at the top and running the game and shit, and then watching the switch and maybe the downfall of certain companies and all these other things. Like, the cream rises to the top, I think. You know what I'm saying? If you're doing things right,
yeah,
and you're really in it for the love of people and the game itself, you're going to last and you're going to make a real imprint.
Yeah, a lasting impression.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I've seen them all come, and there are some agencies out there that are just kind of like, half-assing it, where they run other companies simultaneously, and they've like literally actually vocalized to their DJs, like, they're like, I'm like, this other job is actually my like priority, and like, I'm just kind of doing this. And being an artist on that label, I would be like,
you're like, this is my fucking life.
Right. You're like, that's what I mean. Like, I'm like, you have such a responsibility to those people that if you're half-assing it, get out of the way. Like, let them find management that is going to take them seriously. Like, you're doing such a disservice to that person. Fuck, I couldn't. Ouch.
Yeah.
Somebody just told me that the other day, and I was like, that person told you that? Like, at least lie. At that point, like, just lie to my face, because I think it hurts less. I would just at that point think you're doing a crappy job. But to tell me that my life and my career and all my blood, sweat, and tears and this finite amount of time that I have on this planet, you are just like fucking around with?
It's crazy. It's actually fucked up.
That's really dark.
Yeah.
Get out of the way.
Yeah.
That's one of our biggest things, is like, if we're working with an artist and it's not working out, we'll always like, we will immediately let you out of your agreement. Best of luck. Because I don't want to waste any of your time. Because wasting someone's time is like the rudest thing you can do, or there's some saying like that.
It really is.
So like, fuck, man, like, go get it.
Yeah.
I wish you the best. There's never any hard feelings. I want everybody to win. Like, it's the only way to live.
Yeah, I respect that. And I didn't really know any of this, and I'm extremely happy to hear that you're out here doing good work, and I'm inspired again.
We're trying.
You just continually inspire me.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I like it. That's what I'm looking for. And I hope it's on camera. You know what I'm saying? I hope that anybody watching is also inspired.
That's the plan, man. It's like to be able to mentor hopefully future generations of DJs, and like also just kind of gives people some guidance on like just being like, it costs nothing to be nice.
Yeah.
And most people are usually struggling. Like your average person is just surviving, getting by. Like if you're DJing full time, we're so lucky. And like it doesn't take away from like the hard work and all of that other shit, but like to do what we do, to make what we make, and to call this like a job, we're so lucky. So like be nice. I like am constantly thanking people, hoping they have a nice day. Like the people that like literally at Dunkin' Donuts, I was like, how's your day going? Okay. But like I was probably the only person that asked them that day. It takes nothing to like pay it forward, brighten somebody's day a little bit, because we're so lucky.
Yeah. And at this particular time in the world, I think we all need it a little bit.
Man, it is tough out there. And it's kind of like what we were talking about before, where I see people getting into kind of like arguments and beef on like Twitter about like, you know, what openers should do or should play. And it's like, I like read all of these self-help books and entrepreneurial books, and I'm like this like sponge for that kind of like thing. And like, I just don't like, I don't operate in that frequency. And it's funny because I had a friend of mine, he was like, you know, you always like these posts or what have you. And like, he's like, I see you supporting me or us or whatever. He's like, but I never see you comment. And I'm like, I'm not getting into that shit. I have no interest in arguing with somebody about something, because life isn't in absolutes. There's always some other shit. That opener was in a bad mood. That opener didn't care. I don't care. Move on with your life. We're so lucky to do what we do. I'm not going to waste these moments that I have on this spinning rock in space arguing about nothing. You could do so much more with your time.
Yeah. Yeah. We are really lucky. I recently came to like a battle with myself over DJing, and like I was burnt out. I was in Houston just working 6 days a week, twice at the strip club, dark places, shitty nightclubs and horrible people and all that. But I'm getting money, and like that was the main thing. I'm like, just money, give me the money, give me the money. And then I just burned out, and I was like, is this even what I want to do?
Did you have that moment where like, I've had those moments where I was like, okay, if I make a little bit less money and work a little bit less, but work at a venue that I like, or like, did you ever have like a fulfillment moment where you were like, I'm making so much money, but I am so empty?
Oh yeah, 100%. That was ultimately the decision to come back to Chicago. Was like, I'm literally, the money is the only thing that made me stay out there. The money, and like for a small period of time there was some hope in the city of Houston itself, because I think that it really got an influx and like a boom.
I was watching. There were a bunch, like, you know, the Vegas guys came in for a sec, and like, you know, the Philadelphia homies are there right now. So like I saw it all happening, but it went up and went down so quickly. And I was like, oh, like maybe that market isn't going to be as big as I had imagined.
Yeah, I think people had high hopes, and what one of the main driving factors was the fact that they stayed open during COVID.
Oh yeah.
And were business friendly.
I was there.
And it was like,
did I see you that time? I tell people that story all the time because I played at Bell Station in the middle of the pandemic.
No, I don't think so.
And I'm coming from New York, and I was in New York City in the beginning of the pandemic when it was really, really scary here. We had like those like actual trucks outside the hospitals with like the dead bodies, and it was like we were really fucking terrified here. So it's the other end of the spectrum. I'm the only guy in Bell Station with a mask on, covered in Purell, head to toe, shining, just elbows, wiping down CDJs, just freaking out. And like, but we had to. It was the only thing we could do in the pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, that happened. And then I think it sort of Houston just kept Houstoning and
I get it.
Plateaued.
It's hard to break that cycle. And I bet that's a Houston cycle right now. New York had that cycle for a long time where clubs would pop open and they had like 6-month shelf lives.
It's crazy. I've never seen that.
It was wild. New York was just like, oh, it's closed. It's gone. Like, it was so interesting. I don't want to skip over this one thing. So when we were kind of talking about fulfillment and you kind of like, having that moment with yourself, that's sort of where I am in my journey now, where it's like, and I'm beginning to share this a lot with like the DJs that we work with, and especially the ones that we exclusively manage, but like I'm growing more as a human than ever. Like that, like I went to therapy for a long time, that deep work in myself, because I think that was just another thing that our industry was so shallow, and like, you know, it circles back to like treating our DJs like transactions. You know, we specifically don't want to do that. And like, I want to be able to talk to my DJs when they are really going through it, or they're like, listen, like I'm seeing you, like you're starting to like drink a little bit more. Like, let's talk about what's really going on with you, and like getting into the mental health conversations, and like, you know, continuing to like level up. It's not our service, because this is more of me being like a concerned human. I don't have to have mental health conversations for my DJs to work. It's because we care about people. And that's just like how we run the company. Like if I see someone struggling, I'm going to invite them to my home, and like we're going to have like some real vulnerable like one-on-one shit. And I think that is just missing from our industry. Wow, like real bad, like super rough. I always see these I don't know why these, maybe it's my my mental health self-help algorithm, but like that one thing with Cutswell, you guys were like talking about mental health a little bit. It just like always pops up. Even when I like it, it just continues to pop up.
You got to drop a comment. It'll go away.
See, I don't comment. That's what it is. It's like engage, motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's such a big fucking thing for us. And I never knew what burnout was. I was definitely drinking too much back in the day. Like, and like being able to like try and find myself now and then like share that with others, like it just means the fucking most to people. Like so many of my DJs have just like cried in my apartment because no one has been like, are you okay? Are you all right? Like, and they're wearing the weight of the world on their fucking shoulders. They're supporting families, they're supporting kids, they're struggling, they're looking for like validation from this, you know, shallow world of nightlife, and they're like, no, no, I'm fucking not okay. And that's all right.
And that's okay, yeah.
It's more than okay. We're fucking all just trying to do it. We're just trying to make it. And everyone that even looks like they kind of are is struggling with something, including myself. Like that was something that was a big struggle for me too, because I was like, fuck, I'm the fucking boss now. I can't be like vulnerable or crying or talking about any of that shit. Like I have to show strength, or like, you know, it's kind of like when like the government fucks up or we catch them lying, but they'll never say that they're lying, right, because they have to show face. I felt like that. But that started to fuck with me, because I was like, I'm a fucking human being. I'm going through some shit. Or I had like a relationship fail, or like I was engaged and that failed. And at that point I was like fucking really struggling.
That's sort of, you know, in the DJ AM documentary, that's sort of what they allude to that fucked him up a lot, was that he was a leader in that recovery industry or like you know, space. And that is why you're supposed to have anonymity in that space, is because as a leader sometimes you feel like, I don't want to be vulnerable or feel these things, and you hide it and shit. And they kind of alluded to that really fucking him up.
It's definitely fucking possible, because I struggled in so many different ways with like, I had originally had like resentment, because I was like, fuck, I put my shit on hold for other DJs and to like help build this company. And I was like, you know, what if I didn't? Would I be more successful? You know, that was a struggle. Being the boss was a struggle. Being able to be vulnerable was a struggle. Like, it was a fucking lot. So like, opening up that line of communication with our DJs and like my friends and like pretty much kind of anybody that needs to be there and like feel like they're in a safe space, I've like kind of like leaned into that, because I knew that I needed it so bad and I couldn't find it anywhere. There was no one that was either on that like emotional maturity level where I could have that kind of conversation with, without like one of my guy friends being like, what are you, pussy? Like, you know, like that kind of like stupid thing where it's like, no, like I'm going through something here. Like, can you be an adult right now and like not call me that? Like, that's not what I need right now. That's not helping me. So I'm really leaning into that. And like I was just talking to Heavy about what he wants to do. He just turned 40 and he was like having his thing with it, and I was like, embrace that shit. Embrace your age, man. It's only a thing if you make it a thing. So like, once you remove the I have to about life, or I should, for like these like societal fucking things, it's like, that's kind of actually why I like ended up getting engaged and what have you, is because I was like, at that time I think I was 30, but I was like, I should be married by now, right? Isn't that what people do? Like, I don't fucking know. And once I started removing all those things, and it's like, if I get married, sick, cool. If I don't, sick, cool. Start applying that to like the rest of your life, and it like releases this huge weight, and you could really just like operate.
Yeah. I just I did a weekend, like a men's retreat weekend.
Where'd you
last
go?
weekend.
Where'd you go? Who led it? Tell me everything.
It's by this group called MKP, the Mankind Project.
Okay.
It's called the Warrior Weekend.
Nice.
It's for men, about, you know, how we're raised to be a certain way. Don't be a fucking pussy, this and that, you know, all that shit. You can't be emotional.
Yeah.
And they sort of break all that down, and you do some really deep work and shit. And it was amazing, for sure. It was amazing. It was in Michigan somewhere.
Okay.
And we didn't get the most out of the weekend because it was freezing and raining the whole time, and the terrain was horrific. And normally they do
hikes or something.
All sorts of shit outside, things in different areas of the camp that we were in. But we were literally just in this one building, sleeping in there, doing all the work in there, everything, because it was so shitty, but
that's tough.
Still worth it.
Sure.
Still amazing. And yeah, I mean, it's all that kind of stuff, you know, connecting with other men and being human beings and being real men who actually talk about emotion and feel emotion, and knowing what it even feels like. A lot of times things come up, we feel things, and we don't even know what it is. And that's why we drink, and that's why we do things, and that's why, we
suppress a lot of things. Suppress. I had a moment like that, but I didn't mean to have a moment like that. I was basically sort of on a vacation / work trip. I had it done. And actually we can kind of touch on this too, because you wanted to chat about like private events and stuff like that. I was doing a destination wedding. I started doing extreme luxury weddings. I didn't know these were a thing.
Real rich.
Very high end. events. For my entire career, I turned down weddings because I had come from weddings. So basically, my thought process at that time was like, no, like I'm the cool club DJ. Like, sorry.
I could relate to that so deeply.
Yeah. Sorry with your weddings. So I basically just started to. People would ask me, and my way of getting out of them was to ask for a bunch of money. And I started asking for X amount of dollars, and people were like, it's a little out of our budget. And then people started saying yes. And I was like, so I started to ask for more. So then I asked for double for that. And then eventually people started saying yes. And I was like, and then it got to a number where I was like, I am so stupid if I don't take this 4 hours of my life to make, 15 club gigs or some crazy shit like that. I was like, okay, so this is a thing. So I'm getting off topic. We're going to get into the events in a second. I had an experience basically where I was at a destination wedding. The wedding was on a Saturday. It was Sunday. I decided to stay an extra day, and I took mushrooms. I started to take mushrooms here and there after I found out that Vice went sober, and I hit him and I was like, elaborate, please. I was like, explain. And he was like, well, I'm drinking for forever. And he's like, I started kind of like microdosing mushrooms here and there. And he's like, I'll take some sometimes when I go out or whatever. So he connected me with this company in Los Angeles where I get them from. And I took like a whole square of chocolate, which is probably like a lot for me or something. So like I felt great all day. And then I'm at dinner with a friend of mine, like just regular dinner. The sun strangely starts to be setting, and I started uncontrollably crying at dinner. And the only thing I could really remember from this, like, I guess this something that overflowed out of me was that, like, we're taught, I think, from like society and our parents or whatever, on like how to love other people or love things and love this, but no one ever talks about loving yourself. And I think up until that point, I just kind of didn't. And it like all of this, like my imposter syndrome and like this and like feeling like I was like lying and being there and like this whole thing, like it just overflowed in me. And like I just had never even thought of like, do I not love myself? Is that a thing? It was such a wild moment for me, and this will strangely tie into events, but that's fine. But this is just like me continuing to this like introspective journey of like continuing to find myself. And then the more that I find myself, I want to share that and sort of like, connect with other DJs or other people in our network kind of about that. So it's just like one more level of like us, performing and like being there for our people pretty much. But now we can get into events.
Yeah. So what's the most amount you've been paid? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't do numbers. No way.
No. That's
it's a lot.
Yeah. I have 15 club gigs.
That's a lot.
I got a nice
That's a lot. And it's like continuing to happen. And then coming out of the pandemic, previous to COVID, 4am predominantly really did nightclubs. And if you're a working DJ, you have an idea of what they could be. Let's call it 5,000 and down, right? Per gig. Okay, cool. Most people don't make 5,000 a show. So predominantly it's your average rate. That's a lot of bookings to not make that much money. So we were doing some events, but we also like some previous people in our lives were like, oh, events are cheesy. And, it was like kind of the stigma that I was coming up with where like weddings were cheesy and this and that. And like, I think we started to learn that there were clients that would pay, weddings that weren't cheesy. And then like we started to be introduced to this luxury wedding market where these were like borderline like music festivals, but they were weddings. And we were like, what is this? And then we found, the top 5 and 10% of wedding planners in the country. And then we started to just continue to dive into this. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's me. Here I am.
Yeah.
I have all of the tools to do this. I have this plethora of a career. My resume is as thick as it comes. And then I have the business experience of talking to clients, and then I have all of this knowledge from when I was a kid of running weddings that is coming full circle in how I like run these humongous events for these clients. I can now like help wedding planners and like chip in and like weigh in on, and I have all of this knowledge. So it's all coming full circle where I'm now the most prepared for the caliber of these weddings ever. And they pay. I mean, like, let's cut the shit. It's like, I don't really want to be in the club that much anymore. Can I? Yeah. Did I work until 4:00 in the morning last night? Yeah. Am I happy about it? No. Like, I didn't drink last night and I still woke up with a hangover from the sound
Yes.
and the lights. So like, no, I don't want to be in the club. And if I can make X amount more dollars by just doing an event, sign me up. Let's go. So I was just talking to Heavy about this because I think Heavy is like kind of coming to this point in his career. He just turned 40. He's got his baby girls. He's got the mortgage. He's married, like he wants to do the right thing for everybody, for his own health, for his career, for his longevity, for his family. And it's becoming a thing. I forget who I was talking to, but basically he was telling me that whatever market it was, nightclubs were having problems booking DJs because all of those DJs were leaving and like moving into the event space. And they were like, I can't help you for that money. It's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's real. That's where I'm trying to at least start accepting and moving towards. Because for a long time, I was like, nah, what? I'm a nightclub DJ.
Well, there's a couple things that have happened, and it's like these events are no longer, like you're not playing Shout and like, no shade to the Isley Brothers. And I will play Shout tonight.
Kind of a banger.
I bet it's going to go off. They're cool. The music is cool. The clientele is much younger and cooler. So it doesn't feel like a wedding. Or it doesn't feel like a private event or a corporate event. It doesn't have that stigma. Yeah, maybe you have to like wear a suit, but like, so what? Grow up. Like, get a suit.
Yeah.
It's okay. Go to Suit Supply. It's going to be fine.
Yeah. I'm going to have to do that.
But then when you get that check and like you don't get shit-faced, you feel okay the next day, you're still working out, and it speaks to what's really fulfilling to you. It's also more fulfilling in general. Like when you do a wedding, it's so meaningful. These clients are so happy to have you there. Like not all, it's money, it's cool, it's great. But like we kind of learned, and you specifically learned, that like if you're doing something only for the money, it's eventually gonna kind of fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
That fulfillment that you get usually from those clients, obviously some clients are hard to work with or something along those lines, or like less appreciative, but like it's fucking nice. Like how many times do you leave a nightclub feeling like nice?
Yeah, like everyone
fucking never
was happy you were there.
Yeah,
and had good things to say to you.
Clapped at the end,
yeah,
or some shit. No, never. High five to the security guard. Maybe a thank you from that club buyer or whoever books you. But like,
yeah,
and that's maybe.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's fucking nothing, and they're just like, cool, I'll see you next week.
I'll even hang out for a little bit too, just to really make sure there's nothing to soak up. I'm drinking a water at the bar, shooting the shit. It's like
Does anyone want to thank me? Like nobody? Yeah. Nothing. No? All right. I'm just here to make sure. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, my Uber's coming, but I'll be here for 6 minutes.
High five? Nothing?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I'll go fuck myself. It's okay. Thank you. I'm glad I worked on this craft for the last
Yeah.
15
I'm
years.
glad I gave you everything I had inside of me just to try and make your night a little bit
Right,
better.
make all of you money,
Yeah.
you make the bartenders money. It's like, cool. So like there's a lot that goes into the events that is just more appetizing to DJs now. The money is cool, it's very fulfilling, the hours are easier. There's some of these luxury events are travel. I mean, like a lot of our DJs on our roster that really specify in events are doing international events. They're doing celebrity weddings and what have you. We just did a humongous one for a client that I can't disclose, but like, I mean, I'll tell you off camera, but like, whoa, like we can't even believe the caliber of people that we're working with. And it's better for our staff because it's me, Madison, and then we have a staff. Like those clients treat our staff better. They pay in full, like up front. They never want to hear from us again. Usually that's how wealthy they are. They're like, take this money and go away.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, cool. Like our staff gets paid. Everybody gets paid on time. They get paid in full. They get paid a great rate. And it's not awful and like soul sucking. What was I running away from my whole career? Happiness? I don't fucking.
Yeah, it's possible.
The cool factor was like the only thing that really kind of held me back, where I was like, oh, this is like me selling out. Where now I'm like, no, this is like, it checks all of these fucking awesome boxes. So why would I not do that?
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm with it.
That's amazing. That is actually incredible.
We're talking about like a Chicago event division. So if you want to chat after,
I would love to do anything and everything. You're an incredible leader.
Thank you.
I respect everything that you've said. I respect your DJing immensely.
Thank you.
Great guy, incredible podcast guest.
Thanks.
And how about maybe just from someone who has done all these things? I mean, we've sat for, I don't know, probably 2 hours now or something, and we've learned everything about you, all your DJ accomplishments and business ventures and all these things. For an aspiring DJ who's looking to get on a roster,
Sure,
agency, like what does 4 a.m. look for? Just
so usually we don't look for anything. If somebody is making enough noise in whether it's their own market or like, I mean, nowadays it could be on Instagram or TikTok or what have you, you'll come into our orbit. Like we have our finger on the pulse. We're constant. I mean, my, social media feeds are basically just pretty much DJs or, like puppy videos. That's pretty much, that's my only other vice. So I'm constantly liking, I pay attention to every nightclub, every buyer, every GM, every DJ. So like even my explore page is usually always DJs. So like if somebody's crushing it at what they do, 9 times out of 10, I'll know. I already know about you, or I knew about you and I thought your shit was cool. I was just waiting for you to kind of get to that point where you need management. Because that's kind of another key point that most people, especially like aspiring artists, don't actually understand. And it's like, there's a really specific crossroads in your professional career where a manager is needed and appropriate. And it used to be, and it's strange that it's kind of gotten away from that, but basically it was when you couldn't do it all on your own anymore, where reaching out to the venues and invoicing and check chasing was starting to hinder your ability to be creative. That's when you were like, I need to delegate. And that's when you were like, I probably need a manager. Where now none of that is happening. You're still making TikTok videos in your bedroom basement, bedroom in general, and you're like, oh, like I need a manager, and it's like, no, you don't, not yet. Like, go out there, go on your own, fuck up, make some mistakes, get fucked out of money, like experience life. Like, going right to a manager is not the end all be all. And also, artists always think that when you sign on to a management, presto changeo, your calendar is fucking lit. It's not. It's a relationship. It's a business relationship, but it's a relationship. And it takes two parts to make it work. So if the artist is sitting on their ass and like not putting out content or like not, reaching out to venues and not participating in that relationship, and it's one-sided, guess what? It's not going to work. Or same thing on the other end. If that artist is crushing the game and the management is doing nothing, not paying attention to that person, that business relationship's not going to work. So both systems need to be firing for this to be successful. So those two things, like artists always think that they sign to a management and it's like, like that, like rocket ship or whatever.
Yeah, that was always the thought as like a younger DJ. You're like, man, if I can just get onto this,
Nope.
I'll be able to play in all the rooms that they put people in.
Nope.
It doesn't work like that.
That doesn't work. And then another reason it doesn't work is people, or I think talent buyers at this point in history, are so scared to try new DJs. And this also might speak to why a lot of older DJs are still doing it and still in a lot of rooms, because talent buyers won't try new people. I have this very specific story where at this point in my career, I had residencies everywhere. Every major market. I was playing like Live and Story in Miami. So like Live and Story were like these internationally recognized nightclubs. Huge. Atlantic City, Boston, New York, best clubs in the country. And I was talking to a club in Houston about booking me. And he was like, I had sent him my like one sheet. It has all my residencies on it. I actually got him on the phone. And I was like, I play this club monthly and this club, and I'm like, my resume, it's thick. It should have been the sell. And he was like, can you send me a mix? And I was like, no, I can't. I was like, what do you mean? I'm resident in all of these huge markets. I'm like, and no offense to Houston, because I love Houston as a city, but it's not comparable to Miami or New York or something like that. There's just, I forget what they call them, but it's like A markets and B markets and C market, whatever the fuck it is.
Right.
It's not the same. And I was like, no. I was like, I shouldn't need to. I was like, my residencies should speak for themselves. And what I learned from that phone call was that this traditional method or formula that a lot of DJs have used over the years, where they're like, if I play the cool clubs in one city, these clubs in the other city, they're going to book me. That doesn't work anymore. And I think we're communicating that to like all of our artists, because sometimes they work these clubs, like, and we'll just use New York as an example, that pay crap and treat their DJs like crap, but they think that them playing those venues is going to translate to out-of-town work, and it doesn't. That formula is dead. It's old.
Yeah.
So a lot of the old formulas, and I think this kind of speaks to like the younger DJs coming up, they don't translate anymore. Everything has to be firing. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. I like it. I feel like we should wrap it. It's been a minute. We hit a lot of points, a lot of amazing talks. I'm going to have a lot of clips.
A lot to edit.
That's for Diamond Cut.
Hey.
And if there's anything else you'd like to add, go ahead. Otherwise, I'll put a little button on it.
I think we did a lot. Yeah, no.
We did a lot.
Good.
You probably need a nap.
I'm actually fine. I want to go do some work before I go out to dinner.
Hell yeah. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much for joining me, dropping knowledge. I mean, anyone that made it to this point in the podcast is a better person than when they started it.
Thank you.
And for that, I thank you.
Appreciate it.
And I wish you the most fun that you could possibly have in this city, because DJing at Goodnight John Boy is it.
Are you working tonight?
Yeah, I got to work at midnight. What time do you start?
Like 11 or 11:30.
If you start 11, I could come through.
Let me find out. If it's 11, stop by.
All right, dope. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, drop a comment, like the video if you're on YouTube. A little algorithm activating activity. That's what we like to see around here. And we'll catch you next time. Peace.
Well, alright. Battle raps, cause I've shaken grown men to the point that they can't even face their own friends. That's why they rhyme about jewels, not life, cause the ice on which they skating is so thin. That's what I love about the human soul. It'll usually show when the truth ain't told.